Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And throughout this week, I'm going through the entire Silent Night, Deadly Night series. And today, it's the 1990 film Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 Initiation. Here is your trivia question for today. Kim works at the newspaper The Los Angeles Eye, but before becoming a full fledged journalist, what did she do there? The answer will be at the end of this episode. In this fourth installment, we start with an odd situation where a woman is leaping from the top of a building and she spontaneously combusts. Not long after this, we meet our main character of Kim, and for the most part, Kim leads a pretty normal life. She has a boyfriend named Hank, and the two of them actually work together at the Los Angeles Eye, which is a newspaper. Now, unfortunately for Kim, at this paper, it's pretty much a boys' club. So, unless you're a man, you don't really get to be a journalist. So, she and her best friend Janice are trying to rack their brains on how she could be taken seriously. They eventually decide that she should take on the story involving the woman who spontaneously combusted. While investigating this, she ends up meeting a woman who runs the bookstore at the bottom of that building. And this woman, named Fema, offers to have Kim come and join her friends for a little get together. When it comes to Fema and her friends, though, something seems a little bit off. And ever since meeting them, some really strange things begin happening to Kim. So she decides to distance herself from that group. However, though, they end up sending a man who works for them to go and retrieve Kim and bring her back so they can finish a ritual that they're trying to work on her. Oh, also, this all takes place during Christmas time. I feel it's good to mention this because it's a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie, and they barely mention Christmas at all. The script for this film was originally planned as the third film in the Silent Night, Deadly Night series, but that ended up getting turned down. This movie would also end up being the second in the series to go straight to video. Quite a bit of the story of this film was inspired by Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. Screenwriter Zeph E. Daniel incorporated several ideas and scenarios that did not end up going into his other film, Society. This film was directed by Brian Yuzna. Yuzna, by the way, would end up being one of the producers of the fifth film as an apology for straying so far from the elements and Christmas theme of the previous films. Clint Howard, a well known actor when it comes to horror films, plays the character of Ricky in this movie, but this is not at all the same Ricky that has appeared in the previous Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. In fact, Ricky is not even the main villain in this one, which marks the first time in the Silent Night, Deadly Night series that the antagonist would be played by a woman. The character of Fema is played by Maud Adams, who you might very well recognize as this famous titular character from the James Bond film Octopussy. Another famous face from horror in this film is Reggie Bannister. He plays the character of Eli, but you probably recognize him from the Phantasm series. The actor who plays Lonnie is Conan Yuzna, who is the director's son. You probably noticed this, but just in case you didn't, when Ricky is sitting on the bed watching TV, he's actually watching the third film in the series. The movie was filmed entirely in California. The body count for this one is 6. You have Fema's daughter who falls off the roof and bursts into flame. You have Hank who gets shanked multiple times by Ricky. Then there's Gus, who is a terrible person, but he's got a good name. He's choked to death by Christmas lights. You technically don't see Anne getting taken out, but she was tied up and left in the house that Ricky burned down. Ricky, who gets eaten by multiple centipedes from hell? And finally, Fema, who gets stabbed, burned, and falls off the building. So when it comes to Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 Initiation, this is my least favorite film in the series, and that's mainly due to the fact that they completely strayed from all of the original source material, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Christmas whatsoever. So I'm going to give this one a 1 out of 5. If you did like this movie, other films I recommend checking out are Naked Lunch, Society, Jacob's Ladder, and In the Mouth of Madness. And now it's time to answer the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. Kim works at the newspaper The Los Angeles Eye, but before becoming a full fledged journalist, what did she do there? So, before all of the events of this movie started and she became a journalist because of it, she just did the classifieds. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if there's a movie that you'd like to see get a review, feel free to mention it in the comments.